Hello and welcome to the Clive Barker podcast. This is Occupy Midian on location number 3, Film for Fright Fest. This was a screening of The Cabal Cut in the UK at Empire Cinemas, and it was part of a film festival. There were 1,300 people that went to this screening, so by far the biggest screening we've had for The Cabal Cut of Nightbreed. And the good people at the Hellraiser podcast, Phil and Peter, were kind enough to give us this audio for the Q&A and the introduction. So enjoy, and thanks again to Phil and Peter from the Hellraiser podcast. We love their podcast, and we don't consider them to be competitors at all. So, they're great. I listen to their podcast all the time, so you should too. That's the Hellraiser podcast. We're the Clive Barker podcast, and here's the audio from Film for Fright Fest screening of The Cabal Cut in the UK, August 24th, 2012.
Okay, this is Nightbreed, The Cabal Cut. I'd like to welcome Russell Sherrington and Mark Miller onto the stage. Tell us about this project.
Okay, so a lot of you guys will have seen Nightbreed once upon a time. Is that true? Yeah? Great. How many of you people have read the book Cabal? Well, this is not Nightbreed, it's Cabal. So you're going to watch Clive Barker's original script. He wrote the script and he actually filmed Cabal. And he did not make Nightbreed as you've seen it before. But the studio made him shoot 3 weeks of enhancements, and for 20 years we thought this film was lost. And then this gentleman found it, and there's a little story. He found 2 VHS tapes.
Well, it's interesting because I sent Clive a text message of all things, and I said, when I found out that there had been a lot of missing footage, I said, hey, what if I went and poked my nose around and went looking for it? And he said, oh my God, by all means, please. And we had a meeting, and he told me where the trails in the sand ended, and I just proceeded cold calling studios and editors, and I'm sure that's not typically how it's done, but we're here, so it worked. And I ended up talking with Mark Goldblatt, who was the editor that they rehired to do the extensive reshoots, and he told me that somewhere a VHS print had to exist of his original cut, and lo and behold, we found it, but not where we thought we would. We were doing some spring cleaning in Clive's office, and it was actually on a shelf behind us. So, not quite the epic tale, but still, the antennas were up, right? Because it was on our minds, and we said this tape. It said, hey, it says Nightbreed. So I went home, I tried to watch it, but I live in the States, and the tape was PAL, so I could not. I had it sent out here, and the lovely folks that run Clive's website, Phil and Sarah Stokes, I don't know if they're here tonight. We hope that they are. But they digitized it for us and got back to us immediately and said, oh my God, there's footage here. And that's where this gentleman comes in.
It was actually screened at a horror convention in a really, really rough form, a work print form. And I asked Mark if we would take it home and watch it.
Really rough.
Really rough, yeah, with no sound and images and leader reels, etc. And I basically took it away, and with a guy that's here called Jimmy Johnson, I spent 6 months, and I started again. I basically cut Nightbreed up, and I cut both work prints up into little pieces, just like you make a film. And I started again with the script, and I reconstructed it from the 2 work prints, and basically made the film as it appeared in Clive's first 2 drafts of the script. And basically, in the first instance, I made it so me and Mark could watch it. And the coolest thing in the world was us watching it. And then a year later, there's 1,300 people in London going to watch it, which is amazing. one thing that I have to make you realise when we watch this today, that we're still on a journey with this film. Right now we've got 2 producers. We're working with Morgan Creek on a Blu-ray and a DVD of both versions of the film. But what you're about to see comes from 2 work prints and the original release. So
2 20-year-old VHS work prints, keep in mind.
Yeah. So occasionally on the screen it's going to move into what I call porno quality. So it's going to look a little bit rough around the edges, but I know that you're the most wonderful audience and intelligent and smart enough to know that the story is the most important thing that you can see today. And you're on a journey with us now to its full restoration, to us getting the original source material back from Morgan Creek and 20th Century Fox. And, we're going to take it forward. The worst case scenario for us is we're going to go to the BFI, we're going to bake the tapes like we did with the Alien 3 work print, and we're going to continue on this journey. This film evolves all the time. Your feedback makes it evolve. This is version 5 that we've completed.
Yeah, version 1 was close to 3 hours long, but that was incorporating a lot of the reshot footage, so, some characters died twice. We decided that probably wouldn't work.
Yeah, so Decker cannot die twice, and various other characters can't die twice. So the coolest thing about today for me, Mark, and lots of the cast are here. So Hugh Ross is here, who played Narcisse. Simon Bamford's here, and Nick Vince, who played Kinski, is here. They're all going to come down to the stage after the movie. You can ask questions about making the film, and you can talk to me and Mark and open a dialogue up between all of us about what you think of Nightbreed as the Cabal Cup, and ultimately you can help us because you can tell Morgan Creek you'd buy this movie on Blu-ray and DVD, and that makes their eyes go ping. There's an audience because they laughed at Mark when he called them and said Nightbreed, and they just said nobody's interested in Nightbreed, but we proved them wrong today. So that's wonderful. So enjoy the film, and we'll see you afterwards. We brought posters for you guys and all kinds of treasures, and you can grab them, and all the cast and crew that are here will sign them afterwards in the foyer here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Enjoy Nightbreed!
Let me introduce you to 3 of our Nightbreed. So this is Nick Vince.
It was Kinski.
Kinski. There you go, Mr. Hugh Ross. And over to Mr. Simon.
Hello.
Hasn't changed a little bit since the movie.
If you're going to stay with this Q&A, you might want to do the Nightbreed buttock relief Fright Fest dance. If you want to just stand up and just kind of wiggle your butts a little bit, maybe show them to the person next to you, give them a bit of a rub. You just might find it a bit of relief for the next 3 hours of your Q&A that we're going to do now.
So this must be a passion project for you.
Yeah, well, I did this essentially because I understood that this movie existed and that we would be able to watch it. It's Mark's passionate as I am about it, but I really wanted to see, what it translated to. I wanted to see the creatures. I wanted the story to develop. I wanted Decker to talk to his mask. I thought that was really important. I thought the psychic relationship with Babette and Laurie was really important, and character development. I also think that the love story between Boone and Laurie is really important in this movie. And now my feeling is it's a bit more kind of Gone with the Wind with monsters than it was before. It's a very different movie. Yeah.
Okay. Now we've got really, really cool limited edition posters, which these guys have signed. I'm going to take a few questions from you, but then if there's anything else you want to ask all the guys out in the lobby or whatever, then that'd be cool. But please go ahead.
Can I ask, were there any of the original cast and crew helping you along with this? And if so, what do they make of it, kind of resurfacing after all these years? And what do they make of this version of it?
Yeah, okay, so we start off with, I brought Doug Bradley back in to dub his voice back into it, because the movie was, when I cut it together, was 70% his voice and 30% some German guy that they brought in because they couldn't. Morgan Creek and 20th Century Fox wouldn't fly Doug to America, so he dubbed over it. So my first job was to get Doug to come in and redub his voice. We made a little extra you can find on YouTube called Doug, which kind of kicked off a lot of interest in this. And then where we're at now is that we'd like to do more voice work. You know, once we get further into, you know, like the release, you know, we'd like to do a new sound mix and bring in most of these guys and redub sequences.
I have a sub-question for Nick and you and Simon. This is your first time seeing the Falca, correct?
Yes.
Please tell us what it's like to see yourselves after 20 years of never having seen the footage, I imagine.
It's quite strange. It's amazing. And it's quite different, also it's very different. I think it's quite, that long sequence with Rachel, which explains what the whole thing is about, is amazingly significant, important, I think. I'm supposed to be disappointed that I died in this bit. Anyway.
Sorry, I just say nothing.
20 years ago when I read Cabal, when we were filming this, I cried. And then when they gave us the screenplay, I wept because it was so moving. And then when we went over to the Odeon West End to see the opening night, I just left halfway through because I was so pissed off that it was such a mess. And I then came back as it was finishing, and to see it, I actually cried there again for the first time. And so it's just lovely. You empathise with the characters again, right from the word go. There's so much empathy back in it. And you empathise with the monsters, which was always a Holocaust concept, and that was never in the first cut.
Beautiful.
Actually, I cheated slightly because Russell invited me to stay and we got to watch it on the big screen. It's much better on that big screen, it has to be said.
Slightly bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything that the guys say, it's also interesting because this is like 13 minutes shorter than the last time I saw it. And I can still see this as a work in progress, touches and so on.
Would you like me to hold this?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm rather fond of it, I have to say. And it's nice because you hear my voice at the very end. So, yeah, again, such as the guys are saying, you've just got this emotional journey. You get to see a lot more of Laurie and Boo, which are really bits. And I love Johnny Get Angry. I think that really helps.
How long was Clive's original cut that he presented to the studio? How much did they tamper with it at that time?
It's really unknown. Interesting. I mean, we were just talking. Who were we talking about? Someone where there was lots of footage that we know was shot that we still haven't found.
Yeah. But roughly, the work print was around about 3 hours long, but it had humongous gaps in it. It had leader reels every 8 minutes. The first cut that I created was 2 hours, 37 minutes long. And when Clive watched it and we watched it, and when interested parties watched it, we basically, what you do is for a reason. So we came down to the 2 hour, 24-minute version that we see now. Every time we watch it and people feed back to us, we understand things that we can tweak and do things. And this isn't the final version that will get released, so we'll work on it like the Martin Scorsese does to the day it's released.
And leading on from that, congratulations. I really, really loved it because this is the seminal movie from my childhood kind of thing. Great to see Sashi again and all that. But the question I want to be asked is when is this DVD going to come out? When are we going to get it? Because my brother isn't here and he wants to see this film.
We're going to screen it for the rest of the year. At the end of the year, all our efforts, really, everything that Mark's doing in Los Angeles right now and we're both doing is working towards that release.
Yeah.
So our goal is, we want to make a 90-minute documentary, which is a story of Nightbreed, Midian, from Clive right through to the screenings. We want to put the original Nightbreed back out in 1080p, and we want to put the fully restored cabal cutout where we would use the highest quality material we could to alleviate what I said earlier, the poor quality of a couple of sequences. So that's what we want to do. And we're aiming somewhere within next year. It's got very exciting since our Los Angeles screen. I think Mark can add a little bit to that.
Which one was the Los Angeles screen?
The new Beverly screen.
Oh, yeah.
That's when more
That's right.
started talking.
Yeah, well, that was a Fangoria sponsored event, and the response was so huge. Pretty much the very next day, we got a call from Morgan Creek saying, you know, we like what you've done with the film, and we're willing to work with you. So they gave us carte blanche to screen it wherever we wanted, and to raise the funds to create the restoration, the money that would be necessary for such a thing. And really, I mean, ever since then, it's been phenomenal. So really, it's just a matter of lining our ducks in a row, getting the money that's needed, and playing these out for the rest of the year to audiences like this. And the DVD will be available shortly.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And just one last thing to everybody in the room and yourself is that basically the more you can go and use social media and say, how can I buy Nightbreed and the Cabalco, is the quicker it will get released, because they see dollar signs. And then the film studios are about dollar signs and not about art and movies. So that's what they want to hear. So thanks for the question.
If you've heard of Occupy Midian, that's the Facebook page and the Twitter feed, and that is where we commune and post where the next screenings will be, and petitions you can sign and all things like that. So Occupy Midian, coined by Ann Bobby.
All right, next question.
Hi, this question's for Nick and Simon. After going through extreme makeup on the first two Hellraiser films, how did it feel to be going through live makeup in these films, especially Simon?
Actually, the geniuses that created those makeups from Image Animation, Roy and Jeff are sitting up there, and I said to them earlier, it's really because of them that we're here, because it was them that, with Clive, that created such kind of iconic creatures in Hellraiser and makeups. In answer to your question, it was a joy. It was, you've heard of locked-in syndrome. Well, that's what it was like working on Hellraiser and Hellbound, because we couldn't see, we couldn't breathe very well, we couldn't hear, our noses were sealed up, and so for 14 hours a day we'd sit with our own thoughts, which could get quite dark. I actually broke down one day in the makeup, and nobody noticed. That was a waste of good suffering, wasn't it? So I bought some Jack Daniels, and that made it.
Yeah, because I remember Simon didn't actually have prosthetic makeup in the Nightbreed movie.
I had prosthetic nipples, it's the only prosthetics I had.
Yeah, and remember Bob Keenan's college nipples on for you most of the time.
I didn't need them, but Clive said, prosthetic nipples would have to be. So.
You do have nipples of your own.
Yeah, I have various sets of nipples.
Yeah, wings and fantastic, isn't it? Exactly as Simon said, that basically it's just so nice to be able to see, but it's a big different experience because Chatterer was just 1 hour into makeup, Kinski was 5. The car arrives at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're in a makeup chair at 4 o'clock in the morning, then it's 5 hours straight, driven to then it gets on the set, it's acting. But very different experience, it's so nice to see.
That's great, thank you very much.
First of all, I'd just like to say, myself and many of my friends, for almost a quarter of a century, we fantasised about what the film would have looked like when it came out. We cried when it came out. We still had various books, and I'd just like to say thank you for it. It's put it all together the way you have. There's a few questions, but I'm just going to try and make it simple. Rachel, now, her voice is very, very different in this. Could you please shed some light as to what that came from? Were those the first shoots, and then they decided to give her an accent afterwards?
Yeah, the voice from everything, I tried to use as much from the first shoot as possible, because the idea behind the restoration was to give everybody the original material. So the idea in a sound design for this now is to go back to the original actors, rather than go, the dub work that happened in Los Angeles, because Clive relocated to Los Angeles to finish the film. So the film that you watch, nearly 22 years ago, September 1990, was actually mostly the sound work was done out in Los Angeles. So, like Nick was really excited to hear his voice at the end of the movie. Everybody's excited. You know, Doug came and dubbed his voice for nothing. You know, he gave me a day for nothing because he's excited that he can hear his voice in it. And I was excited when I could hear real actors' voices when I started to unearth material with my editor that's here, Jimmy. So, yeah, it was fantastic. So, anything else you want to ask?
Well, the other one, just again, about the effects, obviously, when you have the extra footage, probably one of the things was we wanted to show them an menagerie more. Did you find through the edits, are there bits which you've got which you haven't shown because it didn't quite work with the narrative, etc.?
Well, being a bit like everyone in this room, I like monsters. Yeah, and I love the Nightbreed, and I wanted to show you everything I could find, even what I consider to be hokey, which is the Ray Harryhausen pastiche. It had to be in there, and I never want to take it out. You know, I don't care. I just want to see things like that in that movie. So, no, the things that have come out are mostly like the hillbillies loading guns and human aggression. I thought was less important than seeing the Nightbreed. So unless when we get the original footage from 20th Century Fox, if we find more Nightbreed, more monsters, more sequences, they'll certainly go in the Cabal cut for sure. But everything that we found is in that movie as far as the Nightbreed is concerned.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, welcome.
Hi, I think my question has been answered here, but there's a sequence I've heard about with Shunistasi and Pelican.
Yeah.
He's in the titles. Is that still not being found?
Yeah, what you see is in the titles. Just like the animatronic Pelican where his mouth opens is just in the titles. And no, I'd love to see it as much as you would. I don't know. We will search for it. We'll look at every reel if we get them, and we'll search for every sequence, and we'll try to find it. If they don't go into the movies, they'll go into special features. Anything that's out now will go into special features. We want to make this an Aladdin's cave of wonders from the Nightbreed. So yeah, so I want to see it too. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
We'll even find out where this little baby belongs.
Oh yeah, the film still lends itself to a sequel, and as I remember, there were some rumours. Are we going to get a sequel?
I think, well, Mark will tell you a little bit more, but I found an 8-page treatment which I stole, took home and read and was very excited by. So, and Clive basically never plots one book. You know, he writes enough material for 10 books. So there is all that information. Clive talks about writing a short story. I mean, I have an idea, Mark has an idea, and the TV companies are interested in Nightbreed again because of this and other things that are going on. When you get a 7-page article in Empire and you get a screening like this where 1,300 people come, they start to wake up. So Nightbreed's a long way off being dead, but I think, me personally, I think 20 years have passed. 20 years has got to have passed, and I think it's time Baphomet got put back together, isn't it? Don't you think? Yeah, it's time we got put back together? Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. As I say, if we've got more questions for the guys, they'll be around for a while. Thank you so much to everyone for coming. Nightbreed, the Cabal Cup.
Thank you again to Peter and Phil for providing us the audio footage for that Q&A and introduction for Nightbreed: The Cabal Cut. The audio the volume was a little low, so if you're listening out there, hopefully you were able to turn it up loud enough to hear. But yeah, so anyway, thanks again. That was awesome and very enlightening and nice. A really good Q&A, and another, some new information that we learned there, of course, is that the screenings are going to go until about January, and then they'll start focusing on the documentary and on the restoration. So anyway, that's it for the Clive Barker podcast. And you should also listen to the Hellraiser podcast, because thanks again to Phil and Peter from the Hellraiser podcast. You can reach us on. You can find us on the web at www.clivebarkercast.com. We are on Facebook, and we're also Occupy. The official website for Occupy Midian is occupymidian.com, or join the Facebook group. Twitter, you can find us at @BarkerCast or at Occupy Midian, and that's it. All right, have a good one.